Now, how much of a statement is this from Liverpool ahead of the new season? Arne's slot side beat Arsenal 2-1 in their pre-season clash in the USA overnight.
Yeah, that's right. Goals from Mohamed Salah and Fabio Carvalho had put Liverpool 2-0 ahead. Kai Havertz got one back just before half-time.
Yeah, Arsenal will now return to England for games against Bayer Leverkusen and Lyon, while next for Liverpool is Manchester United in the final game of their tour.
Even though it's a friendly, you always want to win. And you should aim for a win, even if you have small-sided games during a training session. You need to win your games. You try to do everything to win. So that's a good thing that we did that today, but I'm more pleased about the way we did so. Of course, I saw the second half that we had a hard time with Arsenal. They dominated possession completely. But we defended really well, and I was really pleased to see this because a lot of bodies behind the ball every time they arrived into our 16. So real big open chances, I don't think they created in the second half. First half, after the first 10 minutes was an equal game where both teams could have scored a few goals more.
Well, as for Arsenal, it's a disappointing end to their pre-season tour. Despite having more than 60% possession, they managed just 2 shots on target. Mikel Arteta is aware that is going to need to change.
Obviously, we can improve. The game would have been very, very different. The first chance that almost they had, they score. But that's as well what it makes the difference when you are in those areas, in those spaces in the box, putting the ball in the back of the net. And we created the situations. We had another 2-3 big open situations to convert them. We didn't. That's why we have to improve.
Is that what's going to be the difference going forward this season, the ability to sort of...
Well, to punish team, especially with the aggression that we played and the amount of time that we regained the ball in very dangerous areas, and then not enough happened afterward. Basically, it happened the other way around, and that's something really to improve.
All right, let's get some more reaction to that game now and speak to Sophie Nicola of the Highbury squad, who is in Los Angeles. Sophie, thanks so much for coming on and joining us. First of all, it must be nice to have games played at a good time for you out in LA.
Yeah, it's been brilliant. Thanks for having me, Pete and Olivia. It's always fun this time of year, especially for the US fans who get to see some of the biggest and best play their football in pre-season. I was with the squad for a week in Los Angeles, and it's always eye-opening to see kind of season on season how things evolve, if there's anything different. I found the chemistry and the atmosphere and the overall vibe of the Arsenal's pre-season squad to be exactly where you want it to be. It was a real happy camp, and they did some great things on the ground. And it was great. Mikel Arteta seemed in good spirits. Josh Kroenke was in attendance at an LA Rams joint event. Stan Kroenke was there too. So even though, fans didn't get to see Saka and Saliba and Declan Rice and David Raya, Kai Havertz and Gabriel Martinelli joining later, they did also get to see a lot of young players who I think showed Mikel Arteta what they're capable of.
Yeah, it's really positive now, Sophie, for Arsenal fans to hear. And I mean, they lost last night in their final game of the tour, but can you read too much into these results in pre-season?
You always want to win. I thought Arne Slot actually summed up the game quite brilliantly, and a very fair assessment. It was Arsenal's weakest game of all the 3 matches that they played. They pretty much dominated Bournemouth. The Manchester United game was really interesting. United, I thought, started that off, really well and owned the first 20 minutes, and then we grew into that match. But, last night, I don't believe that we played our best. Maybe the heat of Philadelphia got to the players. And perhaps it was more important for Liverpool to get a result with them having the new manager as well. So as long as the players leave the United States fit and are ready to kick off in 2 weeks for the Premier League, and this isn't the same result when we face Liverpool twice this coming season, I think most Arsenal fans would be really happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you say, still many of your key players yet to return after the Euros. Like you say, only 2 weeks to go now until it all kicks off. Are you concerned that they might not be ready for the start of the season?
It's a great question, Olivia, because I had asked Mikel Arteta that question ahead of the Manchester United game. We talked about partnerships, and he's such a perfectionist, and you're missing kind of key partnerships in the sense of Benjamin White is here, but Saka isn't. You've got Declan Rice in midfield, Odegaard is here, he isn't. You've got, Gabriel arrived a little bit later, but Saliba still isn't here. So it's, I think what his response was when I asked him the question was that he believes that the chemistry is so good that they've developed a relationship and some core partnerships over the last couple of seasons. And he felt like things would click into place once they all got together. So he was pretty confident about that. And with Calafiori coming into the mix now too, it just gives him extra time to work, with the new signing as he waits for the players that he's depended on and have been reliable for him over the last couple of seasons.
So that's players that are still going to come back. But, I mean, there's a couple of players on the way out as well, talking of transfers. I mean, Emile Smith-Rowe, close to joining Fulham, and an offer from Marseille for Eddie Nketiah. Good business for Arsenal if they can get decent fees for those two?
I mean, when you look at the fee for Conor Gallagher, who's been playing and was in the England setup, and then you look at the fee that Arsenal are garnering for Emile Smith-Rowe, I think that's pretty great business. And this is a player also who unfortunately has been a little injury prone. I don't think we should forget, though, how, Emile Smith-Rowe and Saka kind of put the Arsenal on their backs for a couple of seasons when things weren't going so great for us. This one's a little bit of a tough one, I think, for a lot of fans. He's just the type of player that we love. And I think maybe the tough part is with the Hale End players is that you kind of want everyone to be a Saka. And I believe, and I did for a while, that, Emile Smith-Rowe's ceiling could be as high as Saka's. Unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be. And I think we love these players so much and we really want them to do well, especially because they've come through the system. But at some point, you also have to cut the umbilical cord in order to improve the team and just, grab those extra inches that you need in order to try and beat a Manchester City this season. So although it's sad, I hope that he goes on to have huge success at Fulham. And I think every Arsenal fan will have the same sentiments when it comes to him. A very special young man.
Yeah, absolutely. So they are a potential few outgoings. Obviously, you mentioned him earlier, Riccardo Calafiori. Still waiting for him to make his debut. How excited are you by his arrival? And is there anyone else you'd like to see come in? Is there any other positions you want to see Arsenal strengthen?
I think if you'd have asked a lot of Arsenal fans, would the defence have been an area that, they would have strengthened? This is an example of Mikel Arteta and those inches that I talked about. We had a great defence last year and, he's always looking to improve. Calafiori came to prominence at Bologna. He had a really serious knee injury, actually. I think it was about 6 years ago. So he's overcome some adversity, which I like. And, he seems to have the personality and the character to fit in. He's got versatility. He's played in the left-back position. He's played in the centre-back position. A very elegant player. He's got the height that Arsenal never used to have. And now I think we've got, 7 or 8 players over that 6-foot mark. And, Arsenal fans are excited about this player. I think he's going to be able to offer a lot. And he's not coming just to make up the numbers. He'll be competing for a starting position, and Mikel Arteta has a lot of flexibility there. The one position I think Arsenal fans would love to see is the striker, and it's kind of weird and not, because last season we broke a record for goals scored. And so you would wonder, well, then why do we need a striker? And I think, again, it's those small elements of the chances that we missed. Against Bayern Munich in the Champions League, against Aston Villa in the Premier League. So a lot of fans believe that a prolific goal scorer can make that up. But, they're talking about Mikel Moreno coming in. We all saw what he was able to do for Spain in the Euros. A superb midfielder, 28 years old, comes with a lot of experience. Having won with Spain and been part of that would be infectious in the dressing room. He's also a really aggressive player, I think something we need. And the midfield area for me is the one where I feel like, we're a little bit weaker. Thomas Partey is very injury prone. Jorginho can't play week in, week out. Still not sure about Fabio Vieira. Waneri had a phenomenal tour, and for me, probably one of the biggest stories of Arsenal's visit to the United States this year. So, I see the squad and I see us getting stronger, and that's the most important thing. So if we can make the Merino deal happen, that would be superb. And maybe Arsenal fans need to get used to the fact that Kai Havertz may well be our number 9 for the whole season, and I don't have a problem with that. I think from January onwards, Kai Havertz was one of our best players, and people don't appreciate kind of what he does off the ball as well as he does when he's on the ball.